So, now we're going to see what we can do about the rising sea level problem and the question of what would happen to human geography if the sea levels do continue to rise. So if we think about the map of the world and what areas will be impacted by rising sea levels, we want to consider that there are major metropolitan areas that will be affected, and just to think about what we can do and what can happen in order to reverse the effects that we've already had and to hopefully prevent future sea level rise. One of the most interesting things that I read was that there's so much damage yet to be done from the temperature that has already increased. So, in other words, we have raised the temperature of the air so much that the sea hasn't caught up yet. So, it's impossible to imagine reversing what's already happened before it happens. So in other words, the air temperature has risen. So to think about this mathematically, the air temperature has risen. So even if we can get it to come down again, so we might be somewhere in here. So let's say we are at the maximum possible air temperature rise. If we think about the sea temperature is still catching up. So it might be following this kind of a pattern. And it will turn around too, but not until after we've already made the changes that are necessary in order to bring it back down. So the sea level rise is still only right about here. So as the sea level continues to rise, we're going to continue seeing the effects of the CO2 that we've already released into the air. So if we think about what's happening with the sea level rise, there are some beaches that have been doing maybe a little bit of a dramatic representation of what's going on out there, but this is a problem. This is something that is inevitable, that is going to happen. We don't know how high the sea exactly is going to rise, but it's on the rise, and we need to think about what we can do to prevent, as much as we can, future devastation and needing to relocate people. So the first thing we'll look at is the social perspective. And one thing I've noticed is people, it's kind of a sexy thing right now to do, to be reducing your carbon footprint, to be bringing carbon emissions down. So people are biking to work, people are walking places, there are more hybrid cars being purchased. We're doing what we can to bring down CO2 emissions. And also, through that lens, just getting people talking about this is important. Getting people to realize, yes, this really is an issue. People on the coasts are going to have a lifestyle change within the next 100, 200, 500 years. And just understanding that this is a problem, and so getting the word out there and having people talk about it. So that's kind of what we're looking at from a social perspective, is getting people to understand that this is an issue, not just at home, but abroad, and being able to spread that word. Also, from the environmental perspective, trying to find cleaner ways of getting energy. So reducing our emissions by using wind power, by using solar power, and looking at cleaner ways to harness that energy and to reduce our energy costs overall. And then from the economic perspective, well, we can first of all look at what the Maldives has done. They've decided to build a wall because they're protecting their greatest economic investment as their capital city, where all of their trade happens and a lot of the tourism is fueled from as well. Their main airport is there. So just understanding that they're protecting that economic investment using any means they can, because they realize that this is a problem that they are going to have to deal with. And also, one of the most interesting economic perspectives that I took a look at when I was doing my research was something that they're talking about with deforestation. So deforestation is a big issue. It is taking away basically the photosynthesis, what's paying the bills for our destruction of the universe. It kind of renews everything. It's taking in the carbon dioxide and turning it into fresh oxygen. And if we take out the trees, then greenhouse gases just pile up even faster. So there are some countries, this has been put into action in parts of Brazil, where they are actually offering credits to stop deforestation. So they're offering these credits that have to be paid by big oil companies, and then it's kind of like investing in stocks. So you buy the credits, you earn the credits by reducing deforestation, and then the country ends up having economic growth because of the credits they're accruing. So whereas some countries feel like the only way to grow economically is by cutting down the forest, they are able to still economically grow, which is pretty cool. So in this way, we can also reduce our carbon emissions and be able to try to stop this rise of the sea level, because we're trying to bring the temperature of the Earth down. And through these three methods, through social, economic, and environmental solutions, we should be able to not immediately stop the rising of the sea level, but be able to reverse at least the negative effect that we're having on the world. And these are not rocket science. They're technologies that we have already that we just need to put into place and have harsher restrictions on governments to be able to put these into place. And we should be able to start to see some solutions happening. So thank you.